Inspirational design professor Tom Barker is about to put his reputation on the line. In 3 weeks, he presents his interactive brick to a conference of world architects. If it works, he'll probably become a multi-millionaire. If it doesn't, his financial backers will walk away and 5 years of his life will have been wasted.
They're just not showing up. Is the network hub plugged in?
As the youngest ever professor of product design at the Royal College of Art, Tom Barker is quite used to seeing some of the world's more unusual design ideas. And perhaps to try and show his students how it should be done, in 2000 he came up with a radical product of his own.
It's this device here, and if we kick it off, just get it running. What's going on here is that we're programming every piece of the honeycomb to display changing graphics, and obviously this is very crude, low resolution because it's just one little sample, but you put enough together and eventually you start to get enormous high resolution DVD images and video.
What makes Tom's SmartSlab different from video walls is that it's strong enough to build with. It can even be used as a floor, and there's no limit to how big an area it can cover. Forget Piccadilly Circus. Tom's vision of the future involves entire buildings covered with smart slabs. And the idea impressed an Italian lighting company enough for them to spend nearly €1 million funding its development. But the big question is, 5 years on, has anyone actually bought it?
Well, that's a $60 million question, and the answer is no, not yet. We're in negotiation on 3 or 4, and we've got a couple of trials working out. But you've got to bear in mind that it's not like you go out and buy a TV set. If you're covering a building in this stuff, you might be talking about £2, £3, £4 million. I've cut this for you guys as well. This is a...
With his backers becoming increasingly anxious, Tom's decided to gamble the fortunes of the project by presenting an untested prototype rig to one of the world's most prestigious architectural conferences.
It's a 2-day conference, but I'm just speaking on the 24th, so what I thought...
With just 2 weeks to go, he meets with programmer Josh and head of sales David to finalise the details. But Tom's learnt there's no air conditioning in the Architecture Association's building, and that could be disastrous.
And it is going to get very hot. It will get hot. But we've got a situation at the moment where if it gets to 55, then it switches off. And we want to get to a situation where we never get to 55. And the only way we can do that is reduce the power.
All right, I'll have a go at it. I'll have a look at it, but it's something I wasn't expecting to do by then.
Yeah, no, I completely appreciate that.
With no other alternatives, Josh has just 5 days to write some new software that controls the temperature of the wall by dimming the LED lights in it. But 2 days into his programming, things aren't going well.
What I was doing is, this is its air intake here, and I was stuffing a fan heater in the air intake, and then I should have just done it for a little bit, but I actually just wedged the fan heater in there and went back to work, and it obviously got very hot. I didn't realise how hot it got, and at the time obviously I disabled its normal overheating mechanism because that's what I was working on, so it just sort of cooked. So, because of the deadlines, I was actually working on this at 1 in the morning last night, so I sent him a text message at 1 AM, and I got a phone call from him at 8 AM this morning while I was in the bath. He was all right about it, but he's just in a panic about where to find a replacement, because if it takes me, I've only got to start installing on Tuesday, so I've got 4 days of work really, and if it takes 2 days to find a new slab, that's only 2 days of work, and I would really up against it.
2 days later, and the pressure of trying to teach and organise the presentation is beginning to tell on Tom.
Well, at the moment it won't be ready. because the software isn't completed. We've rewritten half the software. If the software isn't completed, then we'll have the system, but we won't be able to run anything on it. Josh has lost 2 days so far.
There are just 3 days until Tom's presentation, and things are way behind schedule. Josh has finally got hold of another panel and is still writing the software, but at least the installation seems to be pretty straightforward. With the wall in place, Tom begins to do some preliminary tests on each of the panels, and at long last it seems things are beginning to look up.
You know, certain things like this you just want to do yourself. I mean, I've got a great team of people helping with everything. But, you know, for something this important, you want to know that it's your fault if it doesn't work. But of course it will work. There we are. 2368 is the next one.
After working all night, Josh arrives next morning to begin networking the panels and installing the new software.
If you put in 25% on, it comes to
Not yet. I can't keep up with you. I'm doing the backs of them.
Doesn't matter, 'cause I'm doing it so much.
But another more pressing problem soon becomes apparent.
We have to test it and turn it on, but it's quite possibly going to blow the power in the building because the room doesn't have enough power, but we have to test it and the electrician's gone home.
With time pressing on, Tom and Josh have no alternative but to begin testing the panels. To reduce the risk of blowing a fuse, they decide to switch on the panels 2 at a time. But a problem with Josh's new software means only half the wall is working.
2, but it'd be interesting to know whether it's the number of...
I can work on that rather than tidying up.
Yeah, okay, you do that. So basically until noon. And what time is it open? 10.
To make matters worse, there's an evening lecture, and they can only get access for a few hours tomorrow.
And then if we have an emergency in the evening, it's...
6 or 6:30. There's
Until...
teacher practice. We'll finish then, and then you got it until the building closes at 9 or
Yeah.
something like that.
I've got 2 hours tonight.
It's the day before Tom's big presentation, and to make the most of the limited time available, he and Josh have arrived early.
I haven't done my presentation yet, so I'm going to scoot pretty soon. But assuming it's running from today,
Whilst Josh's software now seems to be working, they've already had another setback.
We did blow the power up when we plugged it in last time. It was also in the middle of someone else's lecture in here. So, but
Do you think that's fixed now?
well, it was partly our fault because we did plug it all into the one socket. So we've got extension leads running all around the building to try and distribute the load a bit. So it should be okay.
If the power doesn't hold out, then the talk will be a disaster, and Tom will have wasted 5 years of his life.
Yes, yes, yes. What is it? That's Jason Bouche. He's a light artist.
But everything seems to be going well, and for the first time, the potential of Tom's invention comes to life. Tom's day of reckoning has arrived. It's the first time he's been able to show people a full working system, and in 4 hours' time his reputation, 5 years of his life, and €1 million of investment will be on the line. Everything depends on 2 13-amp fuses holding out, and the omens aren't looking good.
I'm not a fan, I have to say. I'm sorry, I don't like being, sitting up here and being negative, so I kind of wish you hadn't asked me that sort. Whoa. And then there was no light. All goes out.
We lost power in here in the last 10 minutes, so everyone's blaming the SmartSlab, but SmartSlab hasn't been on. But it's a big issue for us because if we don't have power for our presentation, then we don't have a presentation.
And so is all the software, everything's tweaked and you're happy with it, Josh?
I'm going to go back to work.
As some of the more famous names begin to arrive for Tom's afternoon talk, he and Josh frantically try to iron out some last-minute technical hitches.
I'm here to talk about the future because I'm not interested in the past at all. And this is the first time that we've been able to show the full system, and it's kind of exciting bringing it back to the AA in a way because to me it's a little bit of a homecoming for the technology.
Showing up. They're just not showing up. Is the network hub plugged in? They're starting to show, they're showing up. They're on.
The SmartSlab was supposed to come up after like 15 seconds when the drums went boom, 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 and it didn't. And I was thinking this is going to get really embarrassing. And finally the slab came up in the last 5 seconds of the music. So
Do you think at one point it's not going to come up?
I was going to hide under the podium.
I mean, it seems like it's absolutely has terrific possibilities. As Tom was saying, it's kind of a marriage between sort of media and structure, which I think is incredibly innovative.